And then we ended on Nazi Zombie, the Sniper Elite version.
Yep.
Yeah, Sniper Elite version Nazi Zombie, and I thought that was a blast.
It was a blast.
It was a lot of fun, and the the only problem that we ran into was at the very end of the level when you had to kill the boss of the level, and we had it on easy, and it was pain.
Uh-huh.
I mean, and I don't know if you just need more players, maybe.
And that's I've played it in the past too. I played it with my brother and another one of my friends. I don't know if the difficulty scales based on how many players there are or not. But
maybe we just suck that bad at video games.
Us three need to try it. Maybe we'll.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But there's just that last. We handled everything else pretty much with ease. I mean, there was the one part where we were, outside, right outside that church or whatever, and everything was clear, and we thought we had a minute. And I actually, what did I do? I had to maybe tend to one of my kids or something. I really don't know, but I had to put it on. I had to put it on pause and walk away, and I came back, and I'm dead. And Mike is surrounded by what seemed to be like 100 zombies. And I was like, what is going on? How did I die? You were supposed to just sit here and wait. And he's like, I did. And all these zombies appeared.
Yeah. And the dumb thing about it, man, is it just kept going on. And there probably was 100 zombies there. And I killed all of the zombies. I killed all of them. And then they had zombies come in with like sniper rifles and they were shooting at me. And I was like, okay, I'm done. So I just quit and reloaded with Nate.
Yeah.
And, it took me by myself probably 10 minutes. It took me and Nate probably like 4.
Yeah, we zoomed through it. But the fact that you stayed alive that whole time was pretty impressive. Because one thing that I liked is that I was dead. I mean, I didn't like that I was dead, but I was able to like watch you like on great screen. And so it was entertaining for me to sit there and be like, "Go, Mike!" You actually lived probably like good solid 4 or 5 minutes longer than what I completely expected you to.
Yeah, and myself included. I didn't think I'd last that long. The way it looked, man, it was swarmed, and I just kind of had to sprint through a whole bunch of zombies and get to a spot where I could reload and turn around and do it again. I just did it back and forth, and it worked for a while, but I just got tired of doing it by myself. I was like,
that boss was just darn tough, though. I mean, it wasn't even the boss. If you just take care of the boss without 100 other zombies and those stupid skeletons, you got to shoot their hearts. Man. Those things I mean, they're easy, but they're just a pain. You know?
Well, the problem is when you're trying to shoot the boss, you're using a sniper rifle, and when you're trying to shoot the skeletons, you're using a pistol. Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
So switching back and forth, and then trying to go back from one to the other, it just makes the game impossible. I felt anyway, at least with 2 people. I think with 3 people, it could have been done easily.
But there's those games though that are like they're very difficult, and you're like, it's so difficult, it's not fun. I would say that I'm excited to jump back in and do it again because it wasn't like a discouraging that's just too hard that I don't even want to deal with that. I thought it was a blast.
Yeah.
It's hard to find that sweet spot that's challenging yet not frustrating.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I agree. It toes that line pretty well. So
right.
Yeah.
It's a good game in that regard. We will have to try that and report back on that.
Absolutely, we will. So that kind of segues into our zombie discussion. Obviously, there's a lot of zombie games out there, but I think we're going to start things off maybe with what's the best zombie game that us as individuals have played. So, Mike, what do you think?
Well, I have 3 different categories for it.
Okay. Make this a little more complicated than it needs to be?
Yeah, probably. I apologize.
Let's send this guy
the scariest zombie game I've ever played is probably Resident Evil 2.
Okay.
And I think that was me and Casey. Just playing through, and I think I watched most of that, or I watched mostly while we played that. And there was just a lot of those shock factors in that game, and it was before those games were very common.
Zombies hadn't I mean, sure, you had all the zombie movies of the 80s and stuff, but like
right
in early 90s, but it kind of died out.
It did. Yeah. It was not in.
I remember that we just killed a bunch of zombies and we were walking down a hallway or into a house or something, and it looked like things had tamed down a little bit. And all of a sudden a bunch of hands pop through the wall, and they're grabbing you and you're just like,
Yeah.
So I think that was probably the scariest zombie game for me, and you got to backtrack, I don't know, 15 years, however long ago it was.
Wow, really? That long?
For that, it's been a while. Did you say that? That's accurate, Casey?
PlayStation. Yeah, it was the original PlayStation.
Yeah, it's probably 15 years.
Yeah, PlayStation 2 came out in '99, I think. So,
so that was
scariest.
That's the scariest. I think now I'm gonna move on to multiplayer. Multiplayer, Left 4 Dead 2, every day, all day, every day. That is the best multiplayer zombie game ever. Playing in versus mode, it's just a blast. And we tried several different modes in that, and I enjoyed everything that we played.
Mm-hmm.
We even had the mod where you did had the Lord of the Rings. What's that called, Casey?
Helm's Deep map.
Helm's Deep.
Yeah, Helm's Deep map. Dude, that thing is awesome.
Really fun, really fun mod. Yeah, I think it's on the workshop if anybody wants to check it out. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's just a survival mode, but it's it is so cool. Oh man, it was so much fun. It's tough. It is tough. It is very, very tough. No, we haven't.
It's fun.
No.
But it is a lot of fun. And again, with that, I think my favorite mode out of that is probably scavenge or versus. I think that's just a blast. That's where I've had the most fun at. And then on from there, this is more, I guess, RPG, but Dead Island.
Wow.
Well, like I said, I had to break it down because they're three completely different games, I feel.
Sure.
Dead Island, I think the part that got me with Dead Island was, for one, it's co-op, so you can play with your friends, which is fantastic. The storyline, yeah, well, whatever.
It's a zombie game.
Yeah, it's a zombie game. The storyline doesn't really matter. But I loved yeah, I know you do. And I'm sure we'll get to that.
Yes, we will.
I loved building weapons, the melee weapons. I thought it was fun. And then when firearms came into play, I picked the firearms chick. So that was fun for me. They worked really well, at least with my character. I will say that I think the most fun I had playing that game was in the last hour. Yeah, that was definitely the most fun. And I'm not sure how many hours we actually put into that, Nate. I know we played it together the whole way through.
Well, I only played it with you, so let me look here to see how many hours I put into it. Dead Island,
30-ish. 30 hours? Yeah.
I only played with you, though.
So when you look at that aspect, I guess it's probably not that great of a game, but to say that the most fun was in the last hour out of 30, that's kind of, that's poor. But we
played it every Sunday for, somewhere between 1 and 3 hours for 30 hours for the time, whatever that would be. And so that was really fun. I mean, what I will say is that I went through like 3 or 4 stages of emotions with that game. At the beginning, I was very disappointed. I couldn't believe how bored I was with the game. But you're just having to get going and stuff. Once you actually get to the point where you're able to start modding your weapons and creating some cool weapons, then it really picked up, and I was like, this game is great. This is an amazing amount of fun. I'm glad I think it's probably an hour or 2 hours, that I kind of felt that way at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. But it was fun because I was playing it with you. But then it really picked up, and then I really, really enjoyed it. And then there came a point, I couldn't tell you what hour point I felt it was in. Then it was just kind of like, okay, now it's definitely time that we get on, that this game becomes over, because it was starting to get repetitive and it was starting to get old. And you're right, that last hour, 2 hours, whatever it was intense, and it was a lot of fun. That and when we were able to find Jason Voorhees and kill him, take his chainsaw. Yeah. That was really cool. That was actually really cool. My favorite part. But the ending, the last hour or two, was really cool. But killing Jason Voorhees was a tremendous amount of fanboy fun for me.
Yeah, it was for me too. That was actually one of the few things that I didn't bring up that I'm glad you did. It was really cool that they put him into that game, and I know it doesn't really relate to zombies, I guess, but in a way, actually, Jason he's kind of a zombie.
Kind of
a
superhuman zombie.
I like the Easter eggs like that.
I am only frustrated. The only thing I was actually frustrated with you with that though.
That wasn't my fault. We talked about it.
It's fair. So Mike's like, okay, I've heard that Jason Voorhees is so incredibly hard, and no one kills him, and so we're like super prepared. We're going in there, and like get one hit by Jason Voorhees, and you're dead. And so Mike gets out this gun, and he's like popping them in the skull from like 30 yards away or something, and after a little while, then he died, and little anti-connect.
Poor Jason Voorhees. Didn't have a chance.
He didn't, and in my defense, we did talk about it before we did it. We were sitting there, we're like, man, I heard he's really hard. We should have just tried to melee him, or I don't know, something, but it didn't work out that way, and he was dead in about 20 seconds and never came after us. And so that part was disappointing, but it was cool. We found Jason. We found we
went back there like 2 or 3 times to see if he'd respawn too.
Well, he does respawn.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
But his chainsaw was an enormous amount of fun to play with.
Oh yeah, the chainsaw in that game was a lot of fun.
The only problem is that when it runs out of gas, it's done. It's over.
Yeah.
You couldn't continue to use it, or you can't fill it back up with gas. So it's like you have to like conserve the Jason Voorhees chainsaw.
Yeah. It was still fun though. It was a good time.
It was fun.
Anyway, Casey, I know you have some arguments there. I guess it's your turn.
Sure. Well, yeah, for me, the best is Left 4 Dead as well. It's the game that I've had the most fun playing, I guess, zombie game. If I could break it down in categories, I don't know, it might be different, but there's a lot of good games. Like you said, Resident Evil 2 was a good groundbreaking game for me. But as far as hours played and stuff, I'm not even sure. Left 4 Dead, I have, granted some of this might be idle time and some of it might be my kids kind of messing around in it, but I have over 1,000 hours in Left 4 Dead 2.
That's pretty insane.
There was a period of time that's like all I played was Left 4 Dead 2. I loved it. It was such a refreshing new multiplayer game when it first came out. I never really played Left 4 Dead 1 all that much. I think, Mike, you came over to my house once and we played it on the Xbox, I think. We just played through a single player level on the campaign, and I discovered the multiplayer and I became addicted to it, and it was a blast. Granted, like I said, I think a lot of my playtime is idle time because I'm the kind of guy that'll leave a game running and then come back 2 days later on my computer that I haven't touched and the game's still open. So my playtime hours aren't usually very accurate.
Well, and that's spanned over the last, I don't know, when did Left 4 Dead 2 come out? 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
4 years ago, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So when you think about it, 1,000 hours over 4 years isn't that bad. I mean, still for one game, it's a lot.
It was one of my first games I got on Steam, too. I think that was, it might have been the first game I bought that was a digital purchase on Steam, that I didn't physically go out to retail and redeem the key. So
right.
I'm not sure. One of the first, if not. But, just the multiplayer, the competitiveness. I love being the zombies. I think everyone does. Being the zombies and stopping the survivors and screwing up their plan. Yeah. It's just a blast. It's, when I played football when I was younger, I only loved playing defense. A lot of people like to play offense and score a touchdown, but I like to play defense. All I like to do was go in and screw up everyone else's plan. That's what was fun to me. Like
that doesn't surprise me. Just Casey screwing up everybody's good time.
Right.
That's all it is.
Right.
Yeah.
That's me in a nutshell. So
parking fire trucks in the middle of a road so people can't get through.
Yeah, that was his idea. I just went along with it.
Right. So no, that Left 4 Dead, hands down, that's the best zombie game for me.
So do you find yourself really excited for the day, right, that Left 4 Dead 3 comes, or are you just like you put in something like 1,000 hours in Left 4 Dead 2 and you're kind of just agnostic towards it?
I'm excited for it. However, I am not. My hope isn't that high because I think what I loved about Left 4 Dead 2 so much was that it was totally new. I hadn't, the multiplayer was a completely new concept that I'd never experienced, and I hadn't had that in years in a gaming. Your shooters are all the same these days. It was cool to have a completely new experience. I imagine Left 4 Dead 3 will be, if and when it does come out, it'll be fairly similar with some new zombies and maybe a couple new modes. I mean, it'll be new and it'll be additive. It'll probably have some innovative features, but the entire concept won't be something totally new.
Right. It's not going to be groundbreaking, and right. I think you'll agree with me that the actual campaign single player
it's
or
boring.
Yeah, it is.
Once you played through it once, even the first playthrough is kind of boring.
Yep. It is. It's
the multiplayer aspect.
I agree with you. Yeah. The multiplayer is where that game's at. It's just like playing Battlefield.
Right.
It's not really that fun unless you're playing online.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I just got my first Left 4 Dead experience actually just a little bit ago.
Yeah, we played for a little bit.
Played for about half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that.
Something like that.
In the world of Left 4 Dead.
It was just so loud.
Again, I will say that's because you're used to the console gaming, so you're not used to adjusting your settings before you play the game.
No, to be fair, anyone that's played the Dead Center level on Left 4 Dead 2 knows how loud and surprisingly loud that helicopter can be in the opening cutscene. It's blown my eardrums a couple times as well.
Yeah, that's very true.
It was a really good time. I want to play more of it. Obviously I fear with 1,000 hours in that, everyone's played that game. Everyone who loves the game has played it so much that I'm like, that's why when I even first got my Xbox, some people had already, been playing that game and had played it so much that I was like, I feel like if I jump in now, everyone's just gonna slaughter me and make fun of me.
And they will.
The community isn't really there anymore either.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're gone.
When it first came out, there was all kinds of servers and people playing it, and it's a lot harder to find a game than it used to be.
Honestly, the community kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, if you screw up, if you're not. I was at a practice for I don't know, like a year and some change, and then I jumped in on PC with Casey and. We had problems where, I was a little rusty, so then people are trying to kick me and stuff, and I'm like, hey, why don't you calm down?
I will say, after having played League of Legends, though, that the people who play Left 4 Dead are angels and saints compared to League of Legends.
I've heard that that's. Well, I've played it, but that's
game. Yes.
Yeah, supposedly that's the worst community out there.
Absolutely,
is League of Legends. I've heard that everywhere. Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, Left 4 Dead 2 is my favorite game.
Right.
Favorite zombie game.
So mine, and listen, this is our favorite zombie game, and so I'm not going to say it's the best zombie game because I know better, but and I think I might even reference this in a previous podcast, but Resident Evil, The Umbrella Chronicles. I played it on Wii. It's you're on rails. It reminds me of the old House of Dead games, play in the arcade back in the day, and to just be able to kind of sit back with a drink, it's still being intense. A lot of times be very intense, but at the same time, it was absolutely perfect to just kind of be able to sit back and pop zombies in the head. And I don't have no idea how many hours put into that game, but put in a lot of hours playing that with friends with maybe a drink or two in me. It was a great time.
I've never played that before.
I played it with Nate at his place once, and I didn't like it. We played it, I don't know, probably just one map maybe, and I think we went on to something else because I was not having a good time, and I don't remember exactly why. And maybe it was just I wasn't used to the Wii, and so I couldn't get the shooting right, or I'm probably better with the controller than anything else anyway.
I'm way beyond the light gun type shoot 'em up games.
Yeah.
To me, that's 1995.
Oh yeah. So Casey's the more evolved gamer this episode.
Right.
Just throw that out there. Right.
You started it.
What? That's not my fault. You guys are so behind the times.
Fair enough. Yeah. But listen, I had a lot of fun playing that game, and something else will probably supplant that at some point in time. But at the moment, that's where it stands for me.
It works.
Yeah, I can definitely appreciate that that's your favorite game. I like that that's your favorite game and that you're not ashamed of it. I would be, but
I'm not ashamed of it one bit. Not at all. I had a lot of fun.
Is anyone else lagging?